was really no need to sync, but thanks.
I know.
Okay, I know you don't want to do it anyway. It's been a little bit since we've done this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the casual setting. This is casual, Jake. Legit.
This is
Let me
casual.
do it here. You can tell, like, not like we're casual.
We got a lot of furniture moving going on right now in my house, so we're here at Joseph's place recording another podcast.
You can tell
What's up,
because there's a boring wall behind me, and not.
I think it's a fine background, actually.
Yeah.
Ironically, I'd love to see what our views are versus my place versus yours.
Just to compare,
Just to compare, because I feel like we've gotten a good deal of views from this place.
Yeah, I think the white wall is what did it. I think it has nothing to do with the content at all.
In this white room.
I don't know what song you're singing.
White Room by Cream. But
Yeah.
anyway.
You know what else we don't know?
What?
What? The next prices of the next gen consoles. That's what.
That's what we. Yep.
That is the legendary segue that we are known for.
Yep. First of all, are you buying one?
I think it depends on what we're discussing right now.
Totally not.
You,
No, I'm
nope.
actually. I'm not gonna buy one, and I don't.
The
Need one right now
PS5, the Xbox Series X.
Series X.
There's an abbreviation for that.
Yeah. My favorite little tiny video right now over the past couple days I've seen is a guy going rebranding the PS5, and he has the PS4 logo in like Adobe. He hits backspace on the 4 and types a 5 and looks at the camera like that, and that's just the video.
We did it, boys.
Yep.
No, I'm very interested in how all this pricing is going to go down.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. This is a very expensive hardware.
Prices have not been released. Also, that's kind of
that's
kind
the
of
whole
what
deal.
That's kind of what we're talking about today. The prices haven't been released. What we think the prices of new games. Some new games have confirmed to be very expensive as well. But we're talking about really just pricing and why they're holding that back right now. Which is interesting.
We still haven't seen the prices for the Series X or the 5. And the whole reason is that nobody wants to be the first to reveal, Because if you reveal, then they can just undercut you. Boom. Easy. I would like if they just negotiated a treaty where they just revealed on the same day. I think we should just do that and get it over with.
Yeah, because at this point it's going to be day of, and you're just going to, the first time you're going to see the prices on the shelf.
You're going to
where you're going to
pre-order and not even know how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
Like, it's getting way too close to release date, in my opinion.
Is.
But to me, what the price indicates is how much money they intend to make off of the console itself versus off of the games on the console. How much of a hit they're willing to take on the console, that is. And it also indicates where they see them, where the company sees themselves in the not the universe, in the ecosystem of gaming.
Yeah,
where
because you don't, and I think that's correct, because I don't think anybody really right now they want to make money off of these consoles, and the consoles are getting to the point where they're going to be more expensive. I mean, that's just going to happen. We see it happen with phones, and with consoles. Basically now they're getting to the point to where you're basically buying a computer.
Yeah, that's literally what it is.
That's
it's
how
a specialized computer.
That's how powerful these things are right now. So prices are naturally, they're naturally going to go up, and it's just to be expected. But it is interesting, I was Scott the Woz, his great video on the console war between the PS3 and the Xbox 360, which was the greatest console war of all time, I should say. Talk about how the PS3 at release. I mean, it was $500.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Everybody hated it.
Everybody hated it, but a lot of people got it.
A lot of people got it, but that was 10 years ago.
That was 10 years ago.
500 is very reasonable now. Well, I hate to say that. It's not. It's too expensive for
It was
poor
definitely too
people,
expensive 10 years ago.
Yeah, but a lot of people are expecting these things to come out around 500. My question, if I could see what I'm predicting, hot take, I think Xbox wants to undercut the PlayStation more than the PlayStation wants to undercut the Xbox.
Yeah, I think it, and I think that's true.
I think I could see. I'm predicting like a 550 for the PS5. You know what I'm predicting is 600 for the disc version of the PS5.
Yeah.
500 for the digital only. And I think the Series X will probably be sitting at 500 for disc. Like or I forget, does it even have the disc? I don't remember.
It does. There's
like,
a disc
yeah.
and a discless version. There's supposed to be. It was revealed today, actually. Today being August 10th, that there is an Xbox Series X, but one of the controllers released for the Series X had some details on the back of it, and that is leaked now. There's supposed to be a Series S.
Yes.
So much like there is. So for instance, I have an Xbox One S right now. I don't have the official Xbox One. There was the original Xbox One that came out. Then there was like a lighter version of that. There's the Xbox Series. The
Xbox One S.
The Xbox One X, and then there's a lighter version of that, the Xbox One S. That's what I have. It looks like they're going for that same thing now. And I don't know if there's going to be, if the S is going to be digital only or nothing. That was just leaked
that was today. I remember.
That was today. Yeah. So there's still a lot we don't know, considering these consoles come out in a month or two.
I mean, it's coming up. It's getting really close.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever waited this long. I mean, like, people knew the prices of the PS3 and the Xbox 360 pretty.
I feel like maybe nostalgia, like maybe our just recollection is bad, but I don't. Like, there was always what price is going to be, but then you knew what you were going to get, and you got it.
It wasn't this close.
No.
You could determine what you were going to get. Not that price determined it. More of it was games. And that's where, like you were saying, Xbox Microsoft really wanted to undermine Sony on this. The Xbox 360 was cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But there were also features included with it. And like Scott said, the overall functionality is what got them as well.
Right. And so I think what we're seeing...
Sony put a lot into the price, and I think they know what they're worth, and that's good. But for Microsoft, I feel like they're still looking at this as a competition, which I mean, like, in some ways it kind of is, but I mean, like, loyal fans are loyal. Hardcore gamers are going to go for that Xbox Series X, or it's really hard to say. I'll give them that. Xbox Series X or the PS5. I feel like there's not going to be a lot of, ooh, should I do this or should I do that? People already know what they're going to get. They just need the price.
Here's the thing, is that what is going to be determined, the factors that will affect things here, is the exclusives are where the battle is in a lot of ways. PlayStation is PlayStation won the exclusives war in the last generation. And so they have these IPs they're getting to build off of to start off strong. What Xbox has is they can try and go for being a little bit cheaper, and they can also try and go. You've seen that they're going for being a very inclusive platform, a platform that maybe doesn't have the same exclusives as a PlayStation, but they're working on just expanding in general. That's why Xbox games are also going to PC. It's why they're doing stuff like that. Like, they're working on being a more, just like the all man's console.
Well,
whereas
it's the
PlayStation's specialized. You get these games with the specific hardware.
It's their benefits of being a Microsoft owned company.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft has a lot of money and they have a lot of power and ability to do things like they're doing. Xbox Series X, I really think it's going to be more than really, whatever the S is, it's really going to be more than just a gaming machine. Mm-hmm. I think one thing that people really like about the Xbox is the user interface. Even the 360, I go back and turn that on every now and then. Menu's really easy to navigate.
Yeah.
Same with the Xbox Ones now. But, I watch YouTube and a lot of Blu-ray stuff. I just downloaded Amazon Prime Video on my Xbox the other day, and I know you can do that on PlayStation, but it's just Xbox kind of got that thing to where I think they kind of realized that they weren't going to beat Sony on exclusives, which Sony's exclusives are killer. The one thing that kind of won the console war for a lot of people was The Last of Us that came out for the PS3 shortly before the PS4's release.
Similarly to The Last of Us 2 doing now.
Yeah.
3, 4, and 5.
And you got stuff like God of War was PlayStation exclusive, right?
PlayStation,
Yeah.
PS4. It's an excellent game.
That's another one. That I mean, that's like that won some game of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it was not a game that was catered to me specifically, but the sheer quality of the game is insane.
The game looks beautiful. It's a beautiful looking game.
It's beautiful, and the gameplay's solid, and the
Yeah.
story is top tier.
Yeah, so
it's really good.
So they really, and previous God of War fans obviously clamoring to get their hands on this game. God of War, I don't want to say a cult followed franchise, but like hardcore fans of that franchise are.
Yeah, they're hardcore, and then
they'll die on that hill.
The thing about God of War is that it both kept all the old fans, but it brought in a whole new group of fans because it was very different from the previous entries.
Yeah,
it maintained it did a beautiful job of maintaining what was already there and expanding and growing it.
They went to a completely different region of mythology.
Yeah,
for it.
But the thing about this is that what this does is it gives Sony the opportunity to be the premium. To say, we have all of these IPs that you want. We are the place you get them. You cannot get them anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so they can try and play the Apple in this scenario. It'd be a little bit pricier, it'd be a little bit whatever. The question is how much they want to lean into that and how much they want to bet on being able to lean into that. Because that is exactly what you were referencing earlier. They tried that on the PS3. And it kind of backfired in the beginning. Like, people bought it, but it gave Microsoft time to kind of come back into the game as the cheaper alternative.
Yeah.
And so if they lean into this premium thing, it could come back to bite them.
Yeah, it was more of a thing where, you look at you always look at PlayStation versus Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look at Rocky versus Apollo Creed. Okay, I'm about to make this comparison, blow some people's minds. Your PlayStation is your Apollo Creed. He's clean. He's polished. He's got the form. He's the undisputed champion. He's the man. Okay. Xbox is your Rocky Balboa who just hits really hard all in the right places and actually puts up a fight. Now, like in Rocky 1, at the end of the day, Apollo Creed wins by decision. Okay. But
In
at
the
the
long
same
run,
time,
you think Xbox is going to come back in?
well, no, I just think Xbox is the man's it's like the common man's console,
Right.
Rocky at the end of the first Rocky movie, he was the people's champion.
Right.
I feel like that's kind of how it is, to where I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like, the PS5's design is very appealing. I'll never be a fan of the PS5 controller just because personally I don't like it. I've played with the PlayStation.
The PS5's controller has taken some different turns.
It has taken some different turns.
I'm curious how it'll play out.
It's still I just can't get with their thumbstick layout. I grew up an Xbox boy. I had the original Xbox and stuff, and that's probably why I can't. But just playing on PlayStation controllers never really feels as good as playing on an Xbox controller. All that to really say, PS5's design is incredible looking. I like the design personally a lot better than the Xbox Series X, just being a tower. Which I mean,
It's actually the monolith from 2001.
It actually
really is.
They brought it out of a box and went like that, blew the dust off, and there was let's revamp this, and they did, and paint it black. But it does look more appealing, but at the end of the day, I do think that it's going to be similar to where that PlayStation is it's going to look better, it's going to look cleaner. That's just going to be a thing. That's been a thing, I think. But at the same time, the Xbox is just going to be able to pack a punch that's very appealing to maybe not the serious gamer, but you got to remember that another game franchise that has a seriously heavy following, very, very dedicated as well, is Halo.
Yes.
That's
Halo
that
Infinite.
Xbox Halo Infinite will release with the Xbox, and that's going to be huge for them as well because people are excited. I think there's still a shred of hope for this Halo to not be as weird as the last couple that they've made. I know they haven't been on great terms with fans.
People are excited for Infinite. It's one of those where it's the latest thing they showed made people both so there were some things that people were disappointed about. There's a kind of a running meme about the graphics on this particular enemy, but outside of little things like that, because it's still in development as well.
Yeah.
It was very clean footage. It was very It looked like a fun game. I did not feel like anything was revolutionary, but it was very fun, very...
It'll be Halo.
Yeah, it'll be Halo.
It'll be Halo, for sure.
You can trust it to be Halo.
Yeah.
But what I'm curious about is what we'll see in the future, what Xbox will also do to try and step up their exclusives game. Because they are very weak compared to PlayStation. And so what I'm seeing is I'm interested in the odder announcements, or like the more niche announcements, like Psychonauts 2.
There's a lot of people. It's funny enough. James Williams of Funhouse.
Yeah.
A huge Psychonauts.
Because I never played Psychonauts growing up because I wasn't an Xbox boy, but that game looks so on my level. It looks like something I would absolutely love.
And it's one of those. They had a lot of games like that. Like the Xbox Marketplace on the 360. Just what was it? Geometry Wars, freaking Peggle. Like there were times. And as stupid as it was, they got their charm in that Xbox Marketplace. A lot of these dumb little games, Plants vs. Zombies. I don't know if that was ever on PlayStation. I know it was big on Xbox before it went to mobile.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of like smaller kind of stuff like that, to where even now with Game Pass and everything, and with Xbox
and that's the
Marketplace, like Xbox, I would say their digital platform they're basically reaching heights of like being a Netflix for games. The
Game Pass is another big thing. Obviously, both companies have their own services, but Game Pass I feel like has been a really strong draw for Xbox. They've done a very good job of putting out quality titles for it that you can get. It's very worth the monthly subscription to everybody I've talked to.
Not a lot of people have gotten it and dropped it.
Right.
A lot of people will, if there's a game they want to try. For instance, the Ori series right now is on Game Pass. Has been on Game Pass for a while. People will get that, try it, and I think like I did it too, where I kind of tried it. Ori wasn't my thing, and also ran out of time to play. I eventually ended up buying Ori and the Blind Forest, the first one, but they did a thing where it's like the first month is $1. Yeah. First, it's only $1. You try as much as you want to in that month. If you don't like it, you can cancel. But after that,
who's not gonna like it?
Exactly. After that, I ended up canceling just because I knew I wasn't going to use it, but I wanted to try Ori, and I did. And I tried a couple other games as well, but like for 1 month, your trial was $1 a month. I don't know if that was a thing for when I was doing it, or if that's still a thing. It might be. Yeah, your first month is $1, and then after that it's like $15 a month or something. But you get a massive game library on top of what you already get with having Xbox Live Gold. So that's where Xbox will probably get them too, because I know they've worked on that online platform, and I know that they're really pushing all digital more than anything else. They're really with their Game Pass and their marketplace, like they are going to run discs out of style, and I think that's where they'll get some ground. And
that's where I think Microsoft is looking to be strong, is that they're going to just overall be a more accessible platform. Yes, that the Series X is the Series X is where the premium experience happens. But they're going digital. They're probably like some of the things they're doing makes me think of like trying going to PC more. Having the PC availability. I can speak. Opens up stuff like it means that their games are something that you can stream through Steam to another computer, and it opens up a lot of ability to play these games in various places, which is, I think, a smart way to kind of be an alternative and provide some differentiation between the two companies. Yeah. But the other big thing that I'm curious about pricing wise that we still don't really know is whether or not games will be $70 or $60.
Yeah, I think one game has been confirmed when it releases in NBA 2K21. It will be $70 at launch, $70 or $80 at launch.
And is that the standard or not? Because
now I don't think that's a standard. I do think now, a lot of your bigger titles, FIFA is going to be $70.
Yeah.
Something like FIFA is going to be $70. Something like Madden is going to be $70. Maybe your and again, like this is a big question. Maybe some of your lesser games might run 50 or 60, but.
So you think there'll be variants? You think that there's going to be more and more variants to the standard?
I think it'll depend on honestly depend on the title, and I say that too. But that's another thing where Game Pass and the Xbox Live Marketplace the Microsoft Marketplace come into play, because that game at launch, yes, that might be, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, for instance, was I think like $60 at launch.
Mm-hmm.
You can get that game for about $20 now on the Marketplace.
Yeah,
I got the Gold Edition for $40.
Okay.
$20 below the standard edition's launch price.
Right.
So like, that's where Xbox is getting them too. Is that these games that release for this amount of price, you wait a month, you're probably going to see a deal on it.
And that's something that is very interesting. That I think to an extent you're right. What we've tended to see is that AAA titles have a very consistent base price. It's been $60 for a long time now. That's why people are kind of expecting, maybe this is the time to go up to 70 because inflation and all that, and rising costs and profits and all that.
It costs a lot of money to make these games these consoles.
It does.
They got to price them to get a profit back.
But the question is going to be, is that base standard price going to stay the same? Stay at 70 or go up to 70? I mean, and my question is, I think you bring up a valid point. Is that base consistent price? How consistent is that going to be in general? I feel like lately, as we've seen more and more developers of varying levels, like we've seen, the indie scene, not only, the indie scene's existed for so long, but it's kind of gotten onto consoles, and now it's a lot of these indie studios and indie developers have publishers that are putting them out there that are smaller but still good, strong publishers.
Yeah. As popular as Ori is, it was not. I don't think it was $50.
No, of course not.
It was like 30 or something like that.
And so all these smaller titles are cheaper.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, though, that kind of title is becoming more and more prevalent. And I think we're going to see that while, yes, there's still going to be the AAA standard, that's going to matter less and less as more and more studios are able to put up huge quality products with a smaller team and with a smaller company. Yeah. And we'll see that variance in price will start to happen more, and then competition in the system. And I'm very curious to see what ends up happening from all that. Will it be that we kind of make that, because right now there's the one standard, and then if you're indie, it's just kind of whatever you decide to price your game. Are we going to start seeing kind of multiple tiers of base price where it's like your AAA titles tend to be 70, but then your indie games tend to be 40 or 20? Or are we going to just kind of see this hodgepodge all going on?
And what he just described is what we're seeing now. Your AAA titles are always going to be higher. FIFA release is going to be $60. That's just a given. Might be 70 come soon. Your smaller indie titles probably going to be about half the price, maybe like a 30 to 40. That's what we're seeing now. It seems to be working.
Right, but what's interesting is that there is no consistency once you leave that $60 mark or whatever.
It is kind of up in the air.
It's like, is it 25?
Really
is it 35? Is it 15? 8? 19.99? Like, so I'm curious if, as we're establishing a more expensive base price again, will these indie studios the smaller studios start to themselves kind of regulate to being a specific price on average of and I don't think that's necessarily the way it's headed, but it's a possibility. Yeah. And I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and even like really popular titles, as we were saying, something like the Assassin's Creed with Valhalla, which looks freaking awesome. Valhalla coming out. Those have different editions, as I was saying about Odyssey. Odyssey has a standard edition, then there's like a limited edition, there's, I don't know, freaking Olympus edition or whatever. There's 3 or 4 editions of that game.
Yeah.
There will probably be 3 or 4 editions differently priced than, or than just the standard edition. They'll be differently priced. I remember like you can get the highest version of Odyssey, I'm pretty sure, on the Xbox, on the Microsoft Marketplace right now for about $60, when originally it was probably about $120. Like, those editions at launch, you can get them, but you're going to pay twice for it. Are those going to launch immediately with some of these games like Assassin's Creed that have multiple editions? Or is there going to be a wait, and is everybody going to have to pay that base price? It'll definitely be interesting to see. For me, the next console I get will probably be something Nintendo.
That's a whole other thing. Is Nintendo is kind of waiting this out and going to do their own thing in a year. Well, they're not even putting out any big games right now.
There's no news on the next Nintendo console.
They have said,
I've looked for it. I've Googled it. There is nothing. They said probably won't see anything until 2021.
Yeah.
And that's announcement. That's an announcement.
I think it's a really smart move because obviously they're on a separate timeline right now with the release dates. But I think Nintendo, they keep putting out stuff. I wish they were a little less quiet than they are right now. But I think that they should hold off on doing the big things until 2021 when the other consoles have released. And they can kind of say, hey, we've got this big title that still puts us right in with everything else. And it's not being overshadowed by that initial release fervor. But they're still saying, hey, we can keep up. We're still here. We're still active. And then that lets them down the line do whatever's next.
Yeah, I've always feel like Nintendo's just kind of been...
They're not in the war.
No, they're not in the war. They are... Right now, Nintendo is like... Well, there was a country that... Like Switzerland. They're kind of like Switzerland. They're like Switzerland. It just kind of was watching everything happen.
I'd say they're like Japan, but...
They have to go to the U.S.
That was a joke.
I was going to say coming to a Pearl Harbor near you, but
gosh.
Anyway, I apologize.
We love you.
But I've always felt, like they've just kind of been Xbox and 360, Xbox and 360, Xbox and PlayStation have always been at each other's throats, and then
Nintendo just says, "Hey, have fun, game."
Somebody's behind the desk asking for a grilled cheese sandwich. Xbox and PlayStation are trying to fight over and make a grilled cheese sandwich. They're at the grill and they're like this, they're shoving people aside. They're trying to flip the sandwich.
Throwing all these ingredients.
Nintendo just comes up and was like, "Here it is, but I put ham on it. I promise it's really, really good, and you might like it more than the grilled cheese. Here it is. It's a ham and grilled cheese. Just try it, and it ends up being really good.
Right?
And you come back for it. So I feel like that's kind of how they do things, and I think it's really, really smart for them to just kind of play off on their own. That's always kind of how it's been, because during the whole 360 and PS3 era,
they had the Wii and were out crushing everybody.
They were just selling everything with there was a steering wheel, a gun, a fishing pole, a Nerf racket, a bat, a golf club.
It was beautiful.
They just did their own thing, and it works for them. But also, if they keep up with their prices as well, because the Switch right now is $300. Yep. And I'm telling you, when these new consoles come out, I'm at the point in my life, price matters now. It does. Okay, I got my Xbox One S used from a guy with 2 controllers and a Turtle Beach headset, all for about $200. This is value of upwards of $400.
Yeah.
So I got a good deal on it. I did not go out and buy a fresh console because I knew it wouldn't be worth it. It wouldn't. Because now I've probably put in the remaining price. That $200 that I didn't pay was used to get games.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what was so good about the deal I got. And with Nintendo, if they keep it at $300 versus, and I know their games don't depreciate.
That's the counterpoint is that Nintendo never.
No,
it's always $60.
Wii Sports is still about $50. If you can find it's still.
It's
about
not
50.
even. It came free with the console. It's $50 now.
It's still even like games like older games are still
they do not appreciate.
You might find a Wii game for about $40, but that's it. That's as low as they're going to go. But again, I think their console price is going to stay down.
You think so?
I think so.
I do not see their consoles being as expensive as the current generation will be, as this new one coming up.
That might be appealing.
But I think I could see the next gen being like $400. but I don't think they're going above that.
Depends on.
I think that's going to be their pricey one. That's going to be their nice one.
Depends on what they do. Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, like again, like right now, you know, if I'm wanting a new console and I see that these other consoles are costing like $500-$600, maybe $700, depending on what you get. If there's like a like a Gears of War or a Master Chief Edition of the Xbox X, which there will be. There's going to be different editions. Those are going to be probably about $700. When you look at stuff like those Gears of War Xboxes now that are like $400, $450 sometimes, depending on what time of the year you're in. You know, if I'm looking at a new console, I'm looking at that either that Switch Lite or that Switch, and I'm going, man, that's like
the Switch. Yeah, that's they are definitely going for the affordable thing with like the portability, still having the Switch being the portable console. The Switch Lite only being $200 appeals really strongly to parents.
It does,
and that's where they've got a little lock, and that's where I think they're going to try and maintain.
And I think that's good of them to do that because it is appealing. And even right now, if you get a full Switch, it's $300. When you look at it, it's going to be hard right now. Even if you're buying a console, your Xbox One, your digital edition's like maybe $250. Might be like
maybe, right now,
it's probably about $250. That's as cheap as you're gonna get, but I mean it's an all digital Xbox. Yeah. So I mean like just like the pros of the Nintendo Switch being that price, doing what it can do, if they come out with something that has the ability, I don't really know the full Switch abilities right now.
Not
but
the best,
like,
but
you've got that Xbox marketplace where you can download a Blu-ray driver off of their store for your Xbox. You can get YouTube, you can get YouTube TV, you can get Netflix, you can get all of these apps. You get freaking Spotify on your Xbox if you wanted to. So I mean, like if they did something like that, and they made that $400,
right? And that's where I think
that would blow stuff out of the water. I think that would sell
if they can keep up enough to be like. I mean, it'd be amazing if we got 4K onto the next Nintendo thing. I'm not gonna be that. I'm not gonna expect that just because it's Nintendo. But
that's like.
But if they could,
the palm of your hand is incredible.
If they could put native 1080, because right now it's not native.
720, right?
Yeah, 720. Yeah. That upscales to 1080 on the TV.
720 ain't bad for the way it looks, though.
Yeah, it could be. I feel like the next thing will need to be a minimum native 1080.
It'll be
I think 4K capable would be really nice.
It'll be 2021. They need to do 1080.
Exactly.
They need to do 1080.
It would be disgusting if it wasn't.
720 is not bad.
No.
Again, it's probably the best 720 I've seen.
But it's 720.
It's 720. Can tell.
You can see it.
The upscaling is nice. Again.
Yes. But no. I am very ready to be 1080 native, and I think the next thing is their internet. If they can fix their internet, then we could have Nintendo dominating. But that's getting a little bit even more theoretical than now.
That is, and that maybe there will be that time when Xbox and PlayStation both are fighting on this mountain, and they look up, and at the top is Nintendo
already
just
there.
chilling. They're already there, and they go,
"What?"
And then they have to team up and take them down.
It's literally it's like the tortoise and the hare. Nintendo plods along doing their thing. And PS5 and Series X are racing and resting and trying to whatever.
And look for Nintendo, it's worked every time so far, especially with the quality of a product like the Switch. They're really focused on doing things that no one else is really doing right now. When I don't want it to get to the point where Xbox and PlayStation are really just trying to compete with each other instead of make something special and unique. So I think that is an eventual worry. It's like, when does the console war end so that this can progress? And I'm not saying that they sitting there scheming in the office talking about building the PlayStation 5. It's like, it's got to be better than the Xbox One X. It has to be, or whatever the frick it's called. It has to be better than that. We have to make it based off of that. I don't think they're doing that. No. But I think it's definitely interesting. We're on the verge of another huge console war, and it's exciting times. It is kind of cool,
Any other thoughts before we kind of wrap up because I feel like we've kind of hit everything pretty
We
well.
have,
Like
yeah,
there's
no, it's
there's a lot to talk about, but I feel like we've gotten it through.
yeah. No, the thoughts. I just keep an eye out for those prices. You're probably going to see some. Honestly, right now you're seeing more game prices than anything else. But keep an eye on those prices and choose wisely. Weigh your options. Weigh your options. Do your research first, because dedicated Xbox people are going to stay with Xbox, and dedicated PlayStation people are going to stay with PlayStation. You hear of some switching, but it's not very common.
The big thing that you're hearing is the question of if people will be able to afford to get both.
Yeah. So do you have to be safe about $1,500 to kill? You can get both.
Yeah.
You can probably get both and a handful of games.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, you're probably, with that being $600, these consoles, weigh your options. Is it going to be worth it down the line? You're probably going to put over $1,000 towards this because you're probably going to want to get an extra controller. If it'll probably come with a controller. You're going to want to get an extra one. And with all of these titles being higher and higher in price, you're probably going to have some games that you spend well over $100 on. Is it worth it? That's what you need to ask yourself right now. And I think we won't know until they release those prices. Because we don't know squat right now. Other than it'll probably be $500 to $600. That's what I expect. You won't really be able to get anything right now, Xbox or PlayStation, when these consoles launch for under $4.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
No way under $4.
No.
But yeah. Well, this has been fun. We haven't been able to do this for quite a while.
Yeah,
so.
we've been.
Life has been crazy.
Life has been crazy, but it's going well. I guess for updates for our channel, thanks to those 2 more subscribers that we didn't release any videos and they just popped up. So thank you if you were that 17th and 18th subscriber.
I'm gonna say I recently guested on a friend's quiz show, the Raw Quiz Show. I'm gonna say that it came from there, maybe, possibly.
Maybe.
Hello.
Who knows?
Oh.
But yeah, so thanks to those other 2 subscribers. We were at 16 for a good minute there. Let's get to 20, you other 2 out there. But
that's how you get those numbers out there.
Let me just click something. Sorry, we're recording on my phone, and we were going to a low power mode there because this iPhone quality not bad. But yeah, we're probably going to be hitting up. We were doing a lot of gameplays there, but we've noticed just analytics. The most popular thing on our channel is our podcast. It's really where we kind of. I don't want to say where we got our name. We have a name, but we don't have a famous name.
We got our name.
We got our name.
Yeah, Jake was there.
But I think it's kind of our thing, and we probably enjoy putting these together.
I mean, we have good thoughts for ways we want to kind of
enhance the
up the experience and give new ways of giving content, but it's still got that podcast or that kind of us talking to you versus doing something else kind of feel.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you again for watching. We really appreciate you watching. You'll be able to check out some videos here in a minute that you can see. We got some good stuff for you. We will still do gameplays, but probably just a lot less frequently than what we're doing now. We were trying to...
Maybe we'll do a little Halos bit in excitement for Infinite. Who knows?
Maybe, yeah, that'll be good. But, thanks again for watching. We really appreciate you guys, and...
we love you.
Get to saving because those consoles are gonna bust open your wallets.
Yes, they will.
Like I don't know,
like a Kool-Aid
really
man.
too tight pair of jeans.
Stay beautiful, yeah.
See ya.